Yes, we are still here in Billund, and we are here now at Speed Champions. And next to me is a guy I think people watching my channel have seen before a lot of times, not or 2 times perhaps, or 3 times. We are not sure. Who are you?
I'm Chris Stump. I'm the design lead of LEGO Speed Champions.
And we will see the new ones later. Perhaps first some general question. I also asked my community about Speed Champions, and I think Speed Champions is really, a lot of people really like, because the building techniques are great every time, new experience, what I missed sometimes from other areas in LEGO, but that's a different topic. And one big topic is also the stickers. And when you had the first presentation today, you say you heard the community. What is meant by this?
I think yeah. So when we're looking into the products, we are honestly listening to what people are saying online. Also, in our we have a great consumer feedback section where people can give feedback, and we know that there is a large number of people out there who say, like, can you just remove all stickers? So we are actively, if you follow our track record over the last 5 years or so, you can see that we have increased the number of decorations. We've been actively reducing the number of stickers. So there will always be stickers, unfortunately, because of the nature of these being, there's always race cars and things. But if you keep track, they are decreasing. So
good news. Can you a little bit talk about the development process? When is, or who made the decision, or when is the decision made which car you want to design, and how long it takes to have new ideas of building techniques and so on and so on? What's from day one to the development?
Yeah, sure.
to production.
Yeah, sure. So a lot of the time, so we've got a very small team of Speed Champions. So a lot of the time I come up with ideas in terms of an outline of what I would like. Looking at what we've currently got on shelves, what the current collection is, because we are approaching this as a collection. Looking for new things we can add to the collection, but also if you go to the store today, what can you get? So the things from 2 years ago you won't be able to get anymore, but what can you get today that we can add to with the new launch? So that's kind of a starting point. We work very closely with the IP partners, so we'll have a few brands in mind, but we're also in a very fortunate position where certain IP partners, Ferrari for example, they approach us with opportunities, or Pagani, they'll approach us with opportunities. So then it becomes just a kind of a dialogue. Because we're a very small team, I actually include the whole design team, so we've got 3 model builders, myself included. I'm still building some of the products, and then we've got a graphic designer who does all of the graphics. With that's Klaus. We've got an element designer, Jeffrey, who heavily works on our element development, and we've got Martin, who does all of our packaging. The whole team is open to give inputs about, oh, we considered this vehicle, or that's a nice vehicle, but this one would be better. And we take it as a bit of a sparring to say, as a group of guys who have spent years working on Speed Champions, we're all passionate about vehicles. What would we be happy with? So what do we want from the collection? Because we also are collectors ourselves. And that's basically the starting point. And then we get into the development phase where, after agreeing with IP partners, we might go to them saying we want to do this certain, like for example with this car, we were looking at maybe the super fast, because we just kind of like that, different silhouette and things, and they were saying, well, why not the Competizione 812, because that's the newer version, that's the upgraded version. We're like, that's a fantastic suggestion. So a lot of this is decisions with the IPs. Certain vehicles about anniversaries. So we knew that we'd never done an 8-wide Porsche before in the 8-wide collection of Speed Champions. So we said, okay, we've got to somehow we've got to get Porsche this year. 75 years of Porsche, 100 years of Le Mans, made perfect sense to pick this vehicle. McLaren, we've never done a McLaren double pack before. It's 60 years of McLaren, so this is a perfect opportunity to maybe tell a bit more heritage. So we'll do a double pack with them for the first time. We'll do our first Icon, which is also their first ever supercar with the F1. And we'll also do their brand new super hypercar with the BC08, or the same as the Polybag. But we also want new IPs. So that's where, for example, Pagani, they approach us, we approach them. It's very much a two-way street. That's kind of where we do it, is we take all of those factors and we have all these dialogues, and then we say, is it different enough? So, for example, we've got a GT car, we've got an LMH car, we've got a concept car, maybe video game, because that's where some people have been introduced with it. We've got an icon, we've got a hypercar, we've got a movie and TV vehicle. No two are the same, no two brands are the same, so maximizing variety as well.
Some of my when I asked my community, one question was, why no BMW?
Good question. Very good brand. It's a brand that we've been in talks with for many years. We've worked with them on the BMW motorbike. That was fantastic with Technic. Definitely on the bucket list. Would never say never to BMW. I'm a big fan of their brand. It's the same as always. It's the right car at the right time. Can we do it justice? In the past, we've looked into BMWs, but we can never do the car justice. How do you capture the iconic kidneys, for example, on the front with Lego bricks? Because we wouldn't want to sticker that. We know you guys don't like more stickers and deco, so how do we brick build it? So when we get to the point when we can do those things and we can do the car justice, that's the right time to do it. Also, from BMW's standpoint, is it a vehicle they want to work on? We've talked a lot about the i8. i8 is a fantastic BMW, such a gorgeous car. But it's also, maybe it's an older car for BMW. So do we want to start a partnership on an icon? No, not necessarily. So it's really not about just doing a car and then sticking a BMW logo on it. It's really about doing the right car at the right time that we want to do and BMW wants to do. And that goes the same for any brand. So if we name any brand we haven't worked with today, we approach every partner exactly the same. No favorites, but nobody we would ever just rule out either. So BMW is it's good to know that's what you guys are interested in.
I think I asked this before, so I will ask anytime, every time, next time again, even if up to when the BMW is there.
The question will be like, next time it will be, why only one BMW?
Okay, so why no double pack and so on. I think then you answered also the question about when you or how you decide to make one car in a package and a double package. I think you said right cars in the right time, or is there a framework that you have a double pack or two every new season and so on, or is it natural coming?
We try to focus on two every season. We do try to focus on two every season. We found a nice formula that works for us. This year is actually different, so I'm lying straight away. But normally we try to aim for maybe 3 single packs, a couple of double packs as our starting point. Last year, you can see, well, last few years we've been trying to up our products because you guys have been asking for more. So we did an extra double pack with Ford a couple of years ago. So we had 3 double packs that year. Last year we had 2 single packs with the James Bond and the Fast and Furious. This year we're kind of mixing it up a little bit again, as we might have followed the same formula with another double pack, but given how well and loud people were talking about the 2 movie SKUs, we already knew let's do another movie SKU like that, another movie TV SKU in there. That made a lot of sense. Choosing the vehicles that go in those double packs, there's many things we think about. We think about things like vehicle fans. It all starts with vehicle fans, and we also think generations, because people say, oh, is your products for kids or adults? Double packs can do both. Double packs can really focus on the bond between a father and a son. And that's why you'll see a lot of our double packs are maybe more of an icon and a modern car, because the icon is what the dad or your dad had on their bedroom wall when they were a kid. And the new car is what the kid or the son or daughter has on their bedroom wall as a poster today. So also, if what you'll see is a lot of kids get into cars, probably that's how we got into cars ourselves, by our dad's fascination with cars. Probably is coming from our grandfathers. So we see these as good opportunities where a dad who was a huge fan, for in this case, McLaren F1, the dad could have been a huge fan of this. Previously we've done Dodge Challengers, we've done Chevrolet Stingrays, we've done Mini Coopers. They can introduce their sons into vehicles, into their passion. So they can get the F1, which they personally bought for themselves, and they can also get the BCO8 in this case, which they can introduced to their sons because they're going to see that on Top Gear and on all these magazines and websites, and it's going to be on their poster in their bedroom. So that's a way that we kind of approach our double packs. But also it's what story can we tell? And for example, in this year, it was more about that heritage. It's 60 years of McLaren. We've done several single packs with McLaren. How do we do something different than we did before? Not just doing a different vehicle from P1, 720S, McLaren Senna, Elva. We could have done this as a single pack, being just the BC08, but we've never done a double pack McLaren before. So let's just do it. Yeah, and with the anniversary, it made perfect sense.
Have there been any IP partner, you do not have to mention it, and you will not mention it, who said, no, we do not want to have a car at Lego? Was there any IP partner you had, do not call them and it's not working there?
No, actually. I've never had that question before, but no. I've never thought about it. We've had many people approach us, and we've approached many people. And we have talks with everybody, but it always comes down to, is it the right car at the right time? Yeah, okay. Many brands that we really want to work with and we want to work together, but we don't want to do things just to do it, because we don't want to do, again, a random car and just put a sticker on it. So
one question was also, and I think that lead us to the new cars, and looking a little bit deeper, was a lot of people ask him if the movie cars will be followed by new movie cars, and I think the answer is on the table. So I take my camera. I think the first thing, perhaps we have a look on new parts. That's right. Yeah. What we see here.
So normally Speed Champions gets maybe 2, 4, maybe 5 elements. A lot of the times it's lefts and rights, so go straight away to those. This year we've got actually 9, 10 elements, which is fantastic. But we've also had some very specific questions that we wanted to tackle. Every year we focus on a new thing. So 2020 was about going to 8 wide with chassis and wheelbases. 21 was about fixing the proportions of the wheels. 22 was the headlights and trying to remove stickers by always having decorations and getting them as one clean design. 23, our starting point was shoulders. So you can see we've done these new 1x5s and also 2x5 slopes to help with the transitions behind the car. So you can see on this McLaren here, it allows you to get just a much more cleaner transition where you end up using only 1 sticker instead of 2, which we previously did. It also creates a longer slope because this follows the 6 long module. We've cut it to 5 for safety. As you can see, it perfectly aligns. We can build it with these tiles. But what it allows is, as well as giving you a longer slope, it gives you 4 modules to play with in the center rather than the previous 2 modules. So where previously you would have a sticker of a window and a sticker of a window and then brick-built window, we've now just saved 2 stickers here as well as 2 stickers here, and overall the proportions and everything's better. So that was a thing for us, an area we wanted to focus on. You can also see with the Pagani that this helps us with this, what we call the teardrop shape on vehicles. So this is an example where the 6 goes down to 2 because of the way we've done it. So this was a focus point first. Another main focus point was how do we lower the cars? Because the biggest restraint with all of our cars is the minifigure. And getting minifigure as low as possible has so many benefits. It's crazy to go into all of them. But to do that, what we've done is we've created a new chassis. Now, this is an update from the one we launched when we first went to 8 wide. The big noticeable change is it's lower. So it's actually a whole plate lower. So it's half a plate lower than the wheelbases, which is as low as you can actually get to the ground. The second biggest one is that we've turned this into a 6x6 hole, where the previous had a 4x6 hole. That allows you, because we use these chassis for different lengths of wheelbase vehicles, that you can now move the wheelbase, the chassis backwards or forwards, depending on the wheelbase, and the minifigure won't be compromised. Also, this maybe opens the door that you can have a front and a back seat more accurately on future vehicles. So that's allowed us to lower the car. The second part is this element, which is our new wheel arch. And the goal of this, if you look at the Nissan, which we developed slightly before, because it comes out slightly before, this is the old wheel arch where you've got the studs on the top. Now that's quite limiting if you want to have a nice smooth transition over the wheel arch. It dictates the height, and it's a little bit of a limitation. With this new wheel arch, we've actually been able to lower those studs and lower everything by a plate. So if we then look at the Ferrari, where the wheel arch ends at the same place, the transition is now a plate lower, so it's smoother. So we've been able to basically take everything from the headlight brick and everything and lower it a whole module. By making the cars one module lower, they look automatically wider, and the proportions are a little bit more accurate as well. So it ties into our focus of every year trying to make the vehicles more accurate. So that was 2 focus points. And lastly, the third thing we focused on was new canopies. So this is a prototype. We actually end up with studs on the top, as you can see from the vehicles over here. But to do these vehicles justice, we had nothing. We looked into reusing the old 6-wide Speed Champions cockpits, but they're very flat-sided. We had nothing that was 6 that had a curve and had sloped edges. So that's what we've created. We've created a 4x6 version that you see here. And then we've also created a 6x6 version, which again you can see on the Pagani. This is a prototype with stickers, not the final graphics, but you can see that's a 6x6 as well, of the same
it will be printed,
approach.
but in a final product.
Exactly. This is a prototype with even prototype chassis, and this is hot off the designer's desks. So yeah. Now, what you can see as well is, as well as the element design, we focus a lot on the overall visuals. So when we talk about decos and prints, you can, if eagle eyes, I'll take another one since that one's dark grey. You might also notice that when it comes to printing, we're now actually printing on all of our vehicles on this part of the cockpit. So this is the lowest we can print.
Okay.
And this is hearing your guys' feedback when we did the Lotus and saying the yellow line should be lower. Now we've specifically looked into how can we print as low as possible on here. That allows us to get the slant of the vehicle to be a lot more accurate across all of our vehicles. You can also see that on the Porsche with the red graphics on the side of the cockpit. So that just allows it to be a lot more accurate, a lot more polished version. There's one element left. Now this is not something you can see from the outside. Obviously we've got the new wheel I didn't mention for the Nissan, but that's a very specific IP thing. But there's one element left, and that is this element. Now this isn't something you can see from the exterior, unless you've got eagle eyes on the back of a couple, but you wouldn't be able to see what it is. But now this element is 2 plates high with a side stud. Hollow stud, that is, so you can rotate a stud or a 318 bar and lightsaber shaft to any angle that you would like. But also, because of the curved back, yes, you can rotate it. So this allows you to do something that no other element in the Lego does today. It allows us to use it in all of our vehicles because it's a challenge that we've constantly found this element will help us solve. And yeah, we really hope that you guys can use this in spaceships and houses and robots and cars and everything you can imagine. So I'm very excited to see how people use that, because it's, for us, it's a bit of a game changer and fills a gap that we were missing. So
perhaps also your colleagues in other departments would like to use this part.
We would hope so. We would hope so.
Yeah, great. Will you introduce shortly? I think we have only 5 minutes left. The cars and
Absolutely.
What's special about them?
Okay, great. So the first car we have is this, which is the Ferrari 812 Competizione. What's great about this is it's the latest GT Ferrari, so we haven't actually done an 8-wide GT car. Compared to all the other Ferraris, like I mentioned, because the new elements, it's actually a plate lower, so it's got the really accurate, unique proportions, so it's less boxy than the previous ones. A couple of things just really quickly to point out is that the exhausts look very unique. That's because they're built using stud shooters. And although you don't use them for firing, we have also included the triggers as well, because we know how you guys get when it's you include 2 of an element but not the part that actually links them, or
so great
3 of a wheel but not even
one question about this: when you get this idea to use stud shooters, so you under the shower and say, okay, stud shooters, why not? Also, or you have all parts before you and you try everything. Also, why how you get this idea?
I would question, doesn't everybody use stud shooters for exhausts?
No, I think someone must be the first one. And I think you are.
We always look at the cars and see, okay, there's a specific shape. What element out of any element can we actually get that shape? So you'll see that with the exhausts here.
It's fitting great.
Yeah,
So,
but the goal is then you have to hide all of this stuff. And you'll also see the same if I just highlight this car, and the fin here is a very small detail, but we'll do that. But then we need to, if I just pop this off, hide all of the Technic connectors, because that's a helicopter propeller. So the goal is, you might find that 10% of an element is exactly what you need, and the challenge is now hiding the other 90% of the element. But yeah, so we've got the Ferrari. The second car we have, I'll jump into this. This is the Pagani that I mentioned. Brand new IP partner. This is why we've got some of these new elements. What's really cool is it's our latest hypercar from Speed Champions, a plate load than we've done before. Again, Speed Champions wouldn't be Speed Champions without using roller ice blades for details, or roller skates as engine details, or finally adding doors on a Speed Champions car, but not the way that you maybe would think we should do. A lot of novelty in here, a lot of newness for Speed Champions, very different silhouette, very lower proportion, so really excited by that one. The third one we've got is Porsche. Special about this, 75 years of Porsche, as you can see from the tiny badge on the side. 100 years of Le Mans. It's our first LMP, or LMH in this case, vehicle in the 8-wide collection. It's our first Porsche in the 8-wide collection. Brand new canopy just for this car and the McLaren, so that's really sweet. And we've designed this with Porsche, so this is a brand new vehicle that they've just been working on, same as the Pagani. Yeah, everything's brick built or decorated, all brick built taillights and headlights, so very excited by this one. The next one, and this is the Nissan, this is our third IP, our third movie and TV vehicle. Too Fast, Too Furious. We've done Fast and Furious movie, now this is Too Fast, Too Furious. This is Paul's Nissan Skyline. Super cool about this is we have got that new iconic 6-spoke wheel. We've never done a 6-spoke wheel in Speed Champions before, so this is very, very cool for us. Speed Champions, unique building at the front here with some Nexonite shield sideways, some 3-module walls to fill out that 8-wide width. Real novelty on this thing is, because it's the Nissan Skyline, we focused on the taillights. So the taillights is probably the most iconic detail of this car. We've finally been able to get those proportions just right, but in a completely different way than we did with the Nissan Nismo a few years ago. But we've picked the Fast and Furious version, and that's for two specific reasons. Or at least, we've picked two iconic details on the car to capture. And that is, this wouldn't be the Fast and Furious or Too Fast, Too Furious version without the blue stripes. But to achieve that, we're finally decorating on the wheel arches.
And so, that's printed.
That's printed on both sides. So that's cool, because there's no way you could create this pattern without doing that. You could not place stickers here, so you've had to do it with decorations, printing. The second thing is, this is probably the most detailed cockpit that we've ever done. We've got 3 bottles of nitrous using the flower element as the button. We've got a decorated seat, because Paul has a racing seat equipped in there. And then we've got a few stickers in there for all of his monitors and gadgets and gauges to monitor his speed and his nitrous. So overall, we feel this is taking all the learnings from what we previously did on the Dom's Charger interior, taking all the learnings we did on the Nissan Nismo, and really trying to combine it all together into a final package.
It's also a minifigure there.
Exactly. So all of our Speed Champions include minifigures still, but this is Paul Walker, and it's the first time we're doing 2K molded arms in Speed Champions. So I'm very excited by this. And then our final product, before we touch upon the small polybag, is our one and only double pack for 2023. This is McLaren. What's special about it, like we mentioned, it's the first double pack of McLaren, touches into the heritage, so it's 60 years of McLaren. Their first ever supercar from 1990s with the McLaren F1. The first ever icon that we've done. It's also got things like this, the side decos on the cockpit. It's got a central driving position, because the McLaren F1 had 3 seats compared to every other vehicle. Takes a lot of learnings from the Countach, so we're hoping that this appeals to the exact same guys who got crazy about the Countach.
And I think we have only time for one sentence about the rest.
Yeah.
So I have to leave. I'm sorry.
That's okay. And to finish off, this is the brand new BCO8 is how I call it, which is the code name that we've been working with. The McLaren is their latest hypercar, which is actually 9 modules wide, fits only one driver in a central driving position with the games controller as the piece that folds up, and then is also built using the wheelbase sideways, taking learnings from what we did with Aston Martin and F1 last year. So a lot of exciting things in there from our perspective.
And the polybag.
And the polybag 5 wide, which is our biggest. It's very important to us. It's our biggest story is our polybag, so we never want to forget the little guy.
Okay. Thank you very much. I have to leave.
No problem.
Yeah, I think, but it was interesting again, and very nice cars, very cool ideas. So, yeah, it's every time I think, okay, that was it. No more ideas. So, but any more. So I'm looking forward what will happen next year. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you.
And yeah, perhaps we meet next year again. Thank you.
Awesome.